What's up everyone and welcome to the Draft Dynasty channel. Today we have a defenseman, Braden Schneider, and it's been a while since I've made a video on defensemen. There's not a ton of good one this year, but he is one of them. So he is 6'2", 209 pounds, and this guy is strong. Sometimes you have players that are heavy and not really strong, but with him I can tell he's very strong. And he's also one of the oldest player in the draft, only a couple of days off, and he would have been in the draft last year. So we need to take that into the equation when we evaluate him. Also, another funny thing with him is that some people are much lower than him than others. So you're gonna see him higher on some lists and way down on other. I'm gonna try to explain why there's such a big difference in rankings, and also I'm gonna compare him during the video with Braden Schneider since both of them are the best defensemen from the WHL. Alright, so let's take a look at his stats, and one thing you're gonna notice is that he's getting better each and every year, so you can see an improvement. This year he finished with 42 points, 7 goals in 60 games, so pretty nice production offensively, and he also has a pretty good track record on international tournament as well, so playing at the under 17, under 18, and at the Alenka Gretzky. Let's take a quick look at a few stats. So the first one I want to talk about, it's the shot per game. So he finished at 1.8 shot per game, which is a bit low for me, especially that he's playing a lot of ice time. He's getting the first unit on the power play, so I would expect him to have maybe a bit more shot on net. Another thing that I would like to talk about is the point on the power play. So I was pretty shocked that he had so much point on the power play. So he finished with 20 points on the power play and 20 points at even strength. So half his production is coming from the power play, but when I was watching game, I didn't think he was that good offensively, not creating a lot of stuff. But the thing is, when you're playing the QB position up top, you're just gonna touch a lot of puck, and he was getting a few lucky assists in my opinion. So he finished with 11 secondary assists, and I think it's important to know that half his production was coming from the power play. Alright, so let's start with the clips, and you're gonna be looking at the big number 2, and the first thing I like about his game, it's pretty easy for him. It's the physicality. And this year there's players that I struggle a little bit to evaluate them during the year, but with him it's the other way around. I think he's a player very easy to evaluate. Only after a couple of games I knew what he was good at, what he could provide, and things that he need to work on, and how he project. So he's someone that's, I think it's fairly easy to project him in the future and to evaluate him. Getting back to the physicality, I would say that he is the most physical player in this draft. Maybe him and Tyler Cleven from the USNTDP program. Those two are just completely beast. If we compare, let's say, with Braden Schneider, Schneider likes to finish hits, but he's just not as big as those two. So he's lacking the size and strength that those guys have. And look at this hit, probably the biggest one I have on him. And you can tell this is only upper body. This guy is strong, upper body, everything. I'm sure if there was a combine, he would crush, let's say, bench press competition or stuff like that. I would put my money on him. Very strong. And there's one thing that I noticed he was doing very well. On one-on-one, he was good at kind of guiding the other player in the corner. And once he pin you on the board in the corner, you are not getting out from there. And he was good at pinning the guy 1 or 2 seconds, then the teammate come and get the loose puck. Sometimes you don't always have to kill the player in the corner, just a little pin 1 or 2 seconds, and it might be more effective than just destroying the guy in the corner. Another thing that he's really good at, and this might be the most important thing if you want to be a good heavy hitter, you need to have that timing. So the first few steps that you're taking before the hit, and also just have the ability to lock in on the upper body. So with Braden Schneider, you're never gonna see him watching the puck. He's always locked in on the upper body, so that's why he's good on one-on-one, and he is able to use his physicality to his advantage. We're gonna take a closer look at this clip, and this is another thing that he's doing really well. So whenever the other team is dumping the puck in his zone and he's the first one to get the puck, he is really good at handling the pressure and being able to make the zone exit. This might be helpful as well for the younger defensemen watching the video, but this can be scary at times when you're the first one in the corner and you know they are coming at you fast. So the number one thing you need to do every time should be priority number 1. You need to scan the ice and try to see where's the danger coming from, and also what are the passing options you have, where are your teammates. You also need to open up your ear, because in situation like that, usually if you have a good defenseman, he should be calling out to you, let's say wheel, reverse, or up, stuff like that. He should be talking to you in situation like that. So you can take a look here at his head, and he's taking taking information both ways, and he's still keeping his composure. He's not panicking right now. He's looking, trying to scan the ice, like I said. So very good start. And this is where things get interesting. So since he's bigger and stronger than most players, he has the luxury here to kind of throw a reverse hit or defense hit, and this will allow him to have a bit more time and space to work with to finish up his play. So for me, this is where I think he brings the most value. Whenever the puck is below his goal line, he is extremely good at it. Even if it's him just retrieving the puck when they're dumping it and making a first pass, or if the other team are cycling down low, he's good at preventing that. He's going to be able to hit one guy and completely disrupt the cycle game down low. So this is his bread and butter. Another area where he's extremely good, it's in front of the net. So that would be the second thing I like the most about his game, simply his ability to lock down the front of the net. And what I mean by that front of the net, there's a lot of things that he's doing there. So first of all, he's a big body, so in terms of blocking shot, he's good with that. Second of all, he's 6'2" with a long stick, so whenever there's a rebound, most of the time he's going to be the first one to poke the puck away. And overall, he just covers a whole lot of ground in front of the net, so he's also blocking a lot of pass, tipping pass. He makes it hard for the other team. You cannot simply go there and park in front of the net as well. He's going to be able to push you around. You're not going to be able to stay in front that easily unless you're willing to eat a few cross check. He's going to make your life harder everywhere in front of the net. So with that type of skill set, that makes him extremely interesting for the penalty killing. So I think he's going to be in the NHL your go-to guy on the penalty killing, and this is pretty much the biggest value he brings. Physicality, toughness, hard to play against, good defensively. He is kind of the old school defenseman. He would have fit really well in the previous NHL with hooking and physicality, toughness. Nowadays, those type of defensemen are kind of a dying breed. They're less and less. The reason why is because most of them don't have the skating to follow the game. We're gonna take a closer look with his skating later in the video. He's not blazing fast, but he's definitely fast enough. He's gonna be able to handle the speed of the NHL. I said earlier that he was really good at locking down the front of the net, but honestly, it's more than that. I would extend that to the middle of the ice. So whenever he's having a one-on-one situation, he will always take the middle of the ice away from you. It's never gonna be an option. He will force you on the outside. So if you get the chance to watch him play, try to notice. It's really rare that someone's gonna beat him and attack the middle of the ice when he's out there, and it's pretty powerful whenever you have a player like that that has this ability to kind of take away space. It makes it much harder for the other team to create high danger quality scoring chance. Another thing that I noticed, and this is always hard to judge by video, but he seems to be a player that everyone respects him on the ice, and even player from the other team. So you rarely see someone cross-check him after a whistle. So I think he's gonna bring a lot of leadership in a team. And I also saw him in an interview a few weeks ago, and this guy is extremely mature. The way he talks, he sounds like a 25 plus years old man. So yes, he's on the older side for the draft, but he's also way ahead, and I think he's a player that could potentially jump in the NHL right away. His game is really mature. So this is probably the biggest difference between him and Caden Gooley. Gooley still has a ton of room left to grow and develop as a player, while him, we're getting close to the end product, and I think what we're seeing right now is pretty much what you're gonna see in the NHL. He's not gonna improve that much. Let's change category, and we're gonna take a look at his ability to do a first pass, zone exit, or stretch pass. And I was really impressed with him because usually when you have big, strong, physical, defensive-minded defensemen, this is where they're gonna struggle. They're gonna have difficulty when they are under pressure in their zone and they don't have the vision or the puck skill really to make a good zone exit. Earlier in the video, I was talking about a big physical defenseman, Tyler Clevin from the USNTDP program, and he is someone that really struggled with the first pass. Whenever he's under pressure, a lot of the time he's simply just gonna chip the puck on the board, and this is hurting his value big time. But with Schneider, he's actually very good with that, and I would say even above average. I was really impressed with his ability. Here and there was a little bit of inconsistency with his pass accuracy, but overall I thought he was able to remain calm and poised whenever he was getting pressure, and most of the time he's taking the right decision. While we keep on watching a few clips of his playmaking ability and his first pass, I'm gonna go over why I think there's such a big gap in terms of ranking for him, and the quick answer is lack of upside. He's a player extremely safe. I would label him as a safe pick because you know 100% he's gonna play in the NHL. Like I said earlier, I think he would be able to play even next year. So he's a safe pick. You know for sure he's gonna play in the NHL, but you also know for sure he's not really gonna be more than a bottom pairing defenseman. So defenseman 5 or 6, and he's gonna be a penalty killing kind of guy. One thing that I would like to make clear though is that I feel like those type of player that are playing defense or physical, blocking shot, play on the penalty killing, I think they are more valuable valuable than people realize. Because if you look in the past 10 years, just for example, look at all the Stanley Cup winner. In all those teams, they had a player similar to Schneider. So for example, the Blues had big physical defensemen like Edmundson, Bertuzzo, Gunnarsson. Washington, I think they had Harpic. If you look, the Pittsburgh, when they won a couple of cups, they had Ian Cole, Dumoulin, Lovejoy, player like that. I think Chicago had Hjalmarsson. The big bad Bruins, they had McQuaid. So maybe those guys with quote-unquote limited upside offensively are more valuable to a team than people realize. And so my NHL projection for him would be a player like Brendan Carlo or Travis Hamonic, player like that. Maybe he has a bit more offensive upside than those guys, but this is what I would project for him. The only problem I have with picking Schneider mid first round or late first round is that as a team, if you are always picking those type of players that are more safe with maybe limited upside, you're gonna find yourself missing out on star power. Your team is not gonna have the star power because let's be honest, you're not gonna find a superstar in the third, fourth round. Most likely it's gonna be in the first round. You're gonna find those guys with very high upside, and if every single year you're choosing the safer option, safer route, well, you're kind of missing out every year on your best chance to get your star. Oh, and look at this play from Ridley Gregg. Do not sleep on this kid. He's gonna be very good next year. I'm expecting a breakout year. Once he's stronger, he's gonna be able to really play his game, and he's gonna be very annoying to play against. So far, I've only talked about the good stuff with him. Now it's time to look at the thing he's gonna need to improve. And for him, the number one thing he's gonna need to improve, it's his mobility. So he's a pretty good skater, but I would say he's a north-south skater. So he's kind of a straight line skater with good top speed. But when it's time to go east, west, left and right, he doesn't really have the agility, footwork to be very effective. So this lack of mobility, agility really hurts him in two specific areas. The first one is in the offensive zone. When the other team is set, he's not able really to walk the blue line to create a shooting lane. And on top of that, he doesn't have the puck skills really to beat someone one-on-one. So when the other team is set defensively, he's not able to create much. He's someone that's not able to create his own offense. He's going to need someone to set him up. And this is the big difference with him and Goalie. Goalie has that type of side-to-side mobility, and he is able to find shooting lane. He is able to get open with his mobility on the blue line. And the other area where it's really hurting him, it's on one-on-one. So far in junior, we're not really seeing him get exposed with his lack of mobility. But in the NHL, with much faster player, I think he's going to get beat wide. And if he really does get beat wide, whenever he pivot, he doesn't have the quick feet really to pivot and accelerate and catch up on the guy. The pivot is a bit slow for me. So if we recap everything, he's going to need to work on his lateral mobility. He's going to need to have better first few steps because it takes a while for him to get going. And just his overall footwork and agility needs to get better. And here are a few examples skating in a straight line, and you can tell he has good power in those legs. But the thing is, with straight line skating and having a good top speed, for defensemen, it's not that useful because it's rare that you're gonna have enough time to really reach that top speed other than on a power play when you're carrying the puck. But usually, I would prefer having a defenseman that has the mobility, the quick feet, and agility. I would take that over a guy with good straight line speed. Other than that, I feel like his hands are not really good. He doesn't really have the dexterity, whether it's for deking someone or just when he's receiving a pass. You can tell it's rarely smooth when he's dribbling the puck down there, and this is really holding him back, especially offensively. When the other team is set defensively, there's not much you can do. When you don't have very good puck skills, it's hard to create for yourself. So a lot of the time what would happen is that the other team would force him on his backhand. They would take away his forehand, and since he doesn't have the agility and foot speed plus the puck skill are not good enough, he's getting trapped there and there's not much he can do. He's not able to evade and create something. He's just trapped. And finally, the last thing I would like to see him improve, it's his shot, because for how big and strong he is, his shot is not that strong and powerful. It's not really he doesn't have a dangerous shot. I found that his release was pretty slow and his shot was not really accurate. It was missing the accuracy. For the power, it was decent, but still, a lot of the time, I think the big problem is that he was just throwing puck out there, not really trying to score, and this is a big problem. Mentally, when you're shooting, you need to commit and try. You want to try to score every single time you're shooting. With him, I felt he was simply just putting the puck on net and hoping something good would happen. And if you look, all of the good scorers, they want to score. Even in practice, when they don't score, they get mad. And I play with a few good scorers, and they just have the different mindset. Every single shot they're taking, they are trying to score real hard. And in the end, if you're able to have that mindset, you're gonna score more goals. Another part of the problem is that whenever he's shooting, it's almost just the upper body that is involved. So he should try to use his legs, do a bit more weight transfer, and not just his arm and upper body. He's gonna have more power this way. On that note, I'm gonna wrap this video, and it's probably gonna be toward my late first round. And usually I try to swing for a bit more upside, but there's not a ton of players that I really like this year, and I have to throw in there a few guys that I'm really sure they're gonna play in the NHL. Another thing to keep in mind with him is that I feel like in the next couple of years, we're going to see a whole lot more smaller offensive-minded defensemen, and he is kind of the perfect fit to play with those guys, because those guys are going to be limited in their zone, and this is where he's shine in front of the net. So he's going to be able to make up for them. Let's say a guy like Quinn Hughes, or this year maybe Lucas Cormier would fit really well with a guy like Schneider. So he's a nice complementary piece for a short, smaller player that is really gifted offensively, and for that reason, I'm increasing his value, because I think those type of defensemen, we're going to see them more and more in the future. For the next episode, I'm going to do a hidden gem. He's not super hidden. I think most people know about him. He's just not high enough, I feel, on most people's list. So I want to do a video on him. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and see you on the next episode. Bye.